All right, what's up there, guys? Welcome back. Today we are going to be covering Screaming Frog. This is an updated tutorial. I've been making Screaming Frog tutorials for the last couple of years, and this one was much needed, especially since we just did the SEO complete guide for 2020, which included how to actually use the template that I have that goes with Screaming Frog. So if you want to check that video out, I'll leave the video link in the description. But yeah, I definitely would recommend that because it covers how to do SEO in 4 different phases, and you can use that with Screaming Frog to do a bunch of really cool stuff. But in this guide, I'm just going to be showing you how to set up Screaming Frog, all the stuff that you want, whether or not you should buy the paid version or just stick with the free. That's pretty much it. So let's just get into it. We're going to start out with the with launching the software. So what you're going to do is you're going to head over to screamingfrog.com. You're going to download the software. It is a free software for up to 500 URLs. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to open it on up. So we'll just click on it, open it up. All right, so first thing you're going to see is this general layout. Now, the way I have it set up is I have a couple tabs that are formatted for the way I like to see Screaming Frog. And if you want this format, I will leave a download link in the description. All you have to do is just go to configuration load, and then you would load the config that I have, and then you would just get my layout. The reason why you have a different layout is just because when you import this into a Google Sheet, like the way I have it set up, is you can see all this really interesting conditional formatting. Now, one thing that you do want to note, though, is if you don't have the subscription that I have to Ahrefs and you don't have the pro version of Screaming Frog, then you're not going to want this layout, because this has to do with being able to pull UR ratings. It has to do with being able to pull analytics data, Search Console data, and if you don't have the pro version of Screaming Frog, you can't use those capabilities. So if you're just going to be doing an audit on a website for up to 500 URLs and you don't want to have analytics data, or you can't afford to pay for it so you can have the analytics data synced, you can still use Screaming Frog pretty well. I'll show you really quickly what it looks like to get a free crawl. So what we could do is, let's say we're going to audit somebody's website in our area. Let's just go to, let's say, realtors near me. You could click on, let's say, the 4th result on the maps. Make sure it's somebody's local website, and you can just grab their website and plug it in. And this is generally how you would do it if you were like doing cold audits or cold pitches to people, because you're not going to have their analytics. So what you would do is you just press start. It's going to crawl their website, and whew, they only have 1 page on their website. So this isn't a very good example. Let's try a different website. Let's go over to these people. And let's try that again. So now we're getting a few more URLs. And what you're going to do is you're basically just going to look at all the different things we're going to talk about within the right column. So we'll cover this whole layout in a second, but ideally you're going to want to just kind of audit them with basic stuff. Like, for instance, do they have their title tags? Do they have meta descriptions? Do they have heading tags? But once you start wanting to get into more specific stuff, like is their web page having a high bounce rate or a low conversion rate, that kind of stuff, then you're going to need the analytics. And if you want to start being able to see all the UR ratings and the backlinks, that kind of thing, then you want to have something like Ahrefs. So let's just talk about the free audit first of all. So with the free audit, what I usually do is I recommend Screaming Frog plus the SEO audit template that I have. And the SEO audit template that I have, which again I will leave in the link in the description, you just cover basic stuff on a website. So you would be looking at whether or not the site redirects the preferred version. The way you can tell that is if you go look at the home page. If we go click on the home page and we see that this homepage is redirecting. Let's see if there's another version on here. Doesn't look like there is, so it might not be redirecting. So you can actually copy this, and what you can do is you can plug it in here, press go, and then you can go take the HTTPS out, and so same thing, and then you would put like a www, And you can see, yeah, it's all redirecting fine. So that would be like an X on the check bar on the checklist, like so. Then you would check and see if there's a fave icon on the website. So a lot of this doesn't really necessarily have to do with Screaming Frog. It just has to do with learning basic SEO stuff. Is there a robots.txt file on the site? So you would just type in robots.txt, or you could go to Screaming Frog, right click, and open robots.txt. That's another way to do it. And here we can see there is a robots.txt, and it doesn't look like it's disallowing anything that it shouldn't be. It's not no indexing the entire site. So we would put another X mark. So you would just continue going through this, and at the end you would offer them some suggestions. Now, the other thing that you would probably want to do with this is also give them a Screaming Frog crawl. The way I have this set up, you can see here, is I have a bunch of conditional formatting for Google Analytics and Ahrefs. I don't do audits without this data. And the reason for that is because if I want to really give somebody a comprehensive audit, I want to be able to show them the greens and reds. The greens basically are the things that are within the averages that I've set. The yellows are the things that need to probably be optimized a little bit, and then the reds are the things that definitely need to be fixed. For instance, if this page is their 4th page getting the most traffic on the website and has no meta description, that might be a problem. However, if we look that it's non-indexable, then we don't have to worry about it. So let's just draw it back for a second, go back more into Screaming Frog. So let's assume that you do have the Pro version. It's $150, and these are the two things that I would recommend you buy. If you were to add anything to your SEO toolkit, buy Screaming Frog Pro. It's a year subscription. I think it's $150, and buy Ahrefs monthly. I think it's about 100 and something, 120 or something per month. So yeah, you are going to be paying a little bit of money for tools, but these are the only 2 tools that I recommend you buy. I don't recommend you buy anything else. These are the 2 tools that you'll ever need. They work great, and I haven't really found. I've bought tons of tools. I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on tools, and these are the only 2 tools that I've kept after 4 years of SEO. These are the only 2 tools. And just like if you were a construction worker or if you were any sort of job, you're going to need equipment, and so for SEO, paying this amount of money to have everything that you'll ever need, that's not a huge drawback. Just think about that. I mean, just to have your tools, this is not a huge drawback. You should be easily able to pull a few $1,000s a month doing SEO with what I'm showing you here. If you can't do that, I don't know if you should be in this industry, and I'm not saying that to be rude. If you're brand new, obviously you're not going to have the money, and you're going to have to start out by doing probably Screaming Frog crawls for free, getting people in the face on audits, and then once you get your first payment, then start buying your tools, and then go to phase 2. But anyways, what you're going to do is once you buy these 2 tools, you're going to first of all go to your Ahrefs account, and you're going to grab your API key. If you don't know how to do that, all you do is you just look up on Google Ahrefs API key, and it'll show you how to do it. It's pretty simple. But what you're going to do is you're going to go to API access, and you're going to go to Google Analytics first. So here I'm going to connect my account that I already have on here. And what I want to do is I want to look at a large date range. I don't want to just see the last month. I want to see a lot more data than this. So I'm going to look at the beginning of this year. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make sure that conversion tracking is on, which it is. And I'm just going to press, and I'm also going to make sure that the segment isn't by organic traffic. It's going to be by all users. I'm going to press OK. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to API Access Google Search Console, same thing. I'm going to connect, date range, same date range. We're going to go back to the beginning of this year. Press OK. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to go to API Access and go to Ahrefs, and we're going to sync our API key. And that's pretty much it. In terms of what we're going to be pulling from Ahrefs, we're just going to make sure that we have the backlinks, referring domains, and URL rating turned on. Everything else I don't really worry too much about. Then what you're going to do is you're going to put in your website. Mine's chaserunner.com. I'll press start. And you want to make sure that your API says 100%, because if it doesn't, that means that it's probably not working. So What you're going to do also is it's going to be, the filter is going to be on HTML. So what you want to do is you want to switch it from, or sorry, it's going to be from on all. So what you're going to want to do is switch it from all to HTML. That way you just get rid of all this other junk. Like in here, this doesn't really matter too much. You can see it's non-indexable. It's just like plugins and stuff. So we're going to press HTML. And let's talk about the different tabs here so you just know the layout. So first of all, we have the list-based view here, or we have the tree-based view, which is kind of just shows you where everything is in folders. I don't think this is extremely helpful unless you're just kind of overviewing a website and you want to see the architecture. I actually think it's easier to just go and right-click one of your URLs, go to visualizations, and then crawl tree graph. And what this will do is it'll show you kind of where everything's being linked from. And the reason why this is a little bit better is because if we look at the home page, we can see which pages are being linked from the home page. So these pages right here are all being linked from the home page, and then everything else is being linked from the sitemap. So none of these pages are really accessible unless you go through the sitemap, which is a problem. And it basically means, what's the point in having these pages on the website? So let's go into, and then you could actually, sorry, you can actually click on these as well, and it'll show you kind of what these layouts are. So next thing is all these different tabs up here. So you have internal, these are all the links on the website. External, these are all the links being linked from the website. You have protocol, which is just the different status codes, I believe, on the website, whether they're indexable or not. Actually, this is the response codes. Protocol, I'm not really sure exactly. Looks about the same thing. Yeah, I'm not really sure the difference between protocol and response codes, but I don't really use any of these tabs, and I'll tell you why in a second. But you have URL, which shows you all the different URLs on the website, I guess. We have page titles, which are, it just shows you all the page titles. Meta descriptions. So you can basically quickly filter by all this stuff, but it's kind of irrelevant, in my opinion, because a lot of this stuff, what you're going to end up doing is once you plug it into your spreadsheet, you're going to get way better data. And what I mean by that is, like, you're going to be able to see that ideally you want to be able to filter by clicks. So once you have Search Console enabled, you're going to plug your stuff in, and you're going to filter from Z to A. So that way you can see these are all the top traffic pages on the website. The reason why that's important is because you don't want to spend your time optimizing pages that don't have any traffic. I mean, like things like this down here, or right down here, a lot of these pages don't really matter. You know, temporary page, login, login portal, thank you, all this stuff you usually want to get rid of. And if it's 0 clicks and indexable and it's just junk, then this is the type of stuff that you should probably go through and delete. Most of the traffic on a website goes to the top 10 to 20 pages. So that's why you filter by clicks, and that's why it's important to have Search Console data. Craig says, is paid Screaming Frog worth it? Yes. So if you scroll through this, we can actually see the home page, or let's say this page, the Rank and Rank page. We can see the URL rating, we can see the amount of clicks that it's getting, we can see the amount of Google Analytics sessions that it's getting overall. That's not just from clicks, but also from social, that kind of thing. We can see the bounce rate, we can see the conversion rate, we can see the average session duration, we can see the word count. If we keep scrolling, we can see the meta description, whether or not there is a meta description. So this is a lot more comprehensive view of what's going on with this page. Way more so than you would by just looking at title tags. Title tags alone, something that I wouldn't go through and just go start optimizing. You want to do this based on a page by page basis, which is based off phase 2. So you do phase 1, you do all the site-wide stuff first, and then you fix the phase 2 stuff. You start mapping keywords to these pages. And again, if you want to learn how to do this more in detail, go check out the other guide I made, the National SEO Guide. Or the Complete SEO Guide for 2020, which I actually cover how to map all these keywords and all of the data to these different pages. But ideally, at the end of the day, what you get is that rank and rent page. Let's see if we can find it. Here it is. So this is the keyword. This is the amount of clicks I'm getting for the keyword. This amount of impressions is the click-through rate. This is the average position. This is the URL rating of the page. This is the keyword difficulty of the keyword. This is the search rate of the keyword. This is the difference between the URL rating and the keyword difficulty. This is where you would put the amount of duplicate content on that page. This is where you would check if if it's indexed or not right here. This is where you would check if there's any duplicate content elsewhere externally on the internet. And then everything over here is all the stuff we just talked about. The bounce rates, the conversion rates, so on and so on. So all this stuff is super important. Once you pair all this stuff up, you can get a really comprehensive overview of what's going on with the website from an SEO perspective, but also a user experience perspective, which is really the secret to SEO. So I don't really, again, mind these tabs up here too much. It's kind of a waste of time. However, if you want to get a little bit easier of a view, I think one of the good ways to do this is just go over here. If you bring this tab over, you can actually see everything that's going on. So here we go. We got all the different pages internally on the website, the amount of HTML pages, amount of JavaScript pages, so on and so on. Let's keep that filtered by all. Now, if we keep scrolling down, we can see if there's anything going on here. So right here we have 7 pages that are HTTP still, meaning they have no SSL on them. If we keep scrolling down, we have 53 pages that are being 301 redirected, so we probably want to go fix that. And really what you're looking on the side here is just bulk issues, because sometimes when you're going through this stuff, you're not going to see all the bulk issues. So this isn't always going to cover everything. So it's a good idea just to go through these different sidebars and see if there's a lot of huge things going on. Like let's say there was 1,000 duplicate page titles and there's only 1,000 pages on the website, something like that. Then that's probably something you want to look at. However, we could see here for the duplicate page titles, I'm pretty sure none of these pages are even really indexed. Well, actually these are, but they're just ClickFunnels pages. So that's just something we could quickly delete in 410. We could just pull these URLs into our 410 tool. We could see that, there's a bunch of titles with the same H1 as the title, which I don't see a problem with that at all. We have 52 missing meta descriptions on these pages. But again, if we look at these pages that are showing up, and we look at well, unfortunately, you can't actually look at the clicks on these for some reason. But if we were to be able to look at the clicks, we would know that there's probably no traffic going to these pages. So why are we going to go fix 52 missing meta descriptions if we're probably going to delete most of this stuff anyways? We could see if there's, canonicals going to the wrong pages. We can keep going through here. But again, ideally, all of this stuff is pretty irrelevant because most of it really kind of has to do with taking your top pages on your website, plugging them in, and then bringing them over to this spreadsheet and mapping them out. And the reason why you do that again is so that you can optimize these one by one. So if I were to look at this SEO secrets page, SEO roadmap template, here I can see there's 155 clicks, there's 860 impressions, 18% click-through rate, average position 2.46. We have a URL rating of 19, which isn't too bad, especially for the keyword difficulty we're targeting, which is at 0. Search rate's at NA, but we know that's not true because it's getting clicks. You don't always see the data for the search rates. The URL difference is 19 over the keyword difficulty, which means that we're doing pretty good here. It means we should be able to rank for it. Our duplicate content percentage is at 24%, meaning that we really need to get rid of that and probably add more content because that'll actually dilute the duplicate content percentage as well. It is indexable, and there's a Copyscape score. I actually checked this yesterday. That's actually passed, so it's a unique page on the internet. If we keep going through, we can see that the Google bounce rate is pretty low, 46%, and 22% of people who are hitting the page are actually converting, which is really good, meaning that people are enjoying this page. I don't have to worry too much about doing A/B testing here with the conversion rates. The average session duration is 2 minutes 50 seconds, so assuming that the user experience is pretty good, people are on the page for a while. However, the word count's pretty low, so we probably want to up that. The backlinks are at 64, which is pretty high. The inlinks are pretty low, meaning there's only 9 pages inlinking to this page. There's a 5 crawl depth on this page, meaning that it's not being linked from anywhere except for the sitemap, so we would want to change that for sure. The title's a little bit low, so we'd probably want to up that. It also shows through the, well, actually, click-through rate's not too bad. I thought it was worse, but we could probably up the title. Looks like the meta description is a little bit low as well. And we can keep scrolling through, but that's really the main things. So ideally, again, what you're doing is you're just taking your top pages on your website, you're mapping all the keywords out, and you're doing it one by one, and then everything else you're probably just going to get rid of. So, I mean, that's what Screaming Frog is in a nutshell these days. I would not spend your time doing all your SEO from here. You're just going to be wasting your time. All these tabs down here just show you sort of the same information, except it's on a page-by-page basis. So we could actually click on this here and look at the URL details. So it'll show us, if it's indexable, if there's a 301, it'll show us the in links to this page, so all the different pages linking to it. It'll show us the outlinks from this page to other pages. Image details, the images on it, what the images say. It'll show all the different resources that are loading to the page, like different scripts, that kind of thing. It'll show what it looks like in the search engine results. You can render the page and see what it looks like from a robot perspective. But again, most of this stuff is like, I guess the best thing would probably be the in links, just so you can see what other pages are linking to this. But for the most part, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, this is a pretty quick tutorial. This is only 21 minutes, but if you take this spreadsheet, I spend a ton of time doing this. You just plug it in here, your life will become 1,000 times easier. And that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed that tutorial. We'll see you soon. Until we do, happy SEOing. Bye.